Good morning, Greene County. Happy Tuesday after a 3-day holiday weekend. I want to preface by thanking Annalise for condensing my presentation into bullet points so it's more legible to read. I'm probably going to be shuffling through my notes a lot. But anyway, my name is Rob Rigdon. I'm a project manager in the resource management department. Resource management, the director is Kevin Barnes. Building operations director is Franz Williams. Usually all three of us, you'll see us involved in projects, attending meetings, or something with an architect or contractor. I was hired in January 2019. That was about this time that the new jail and sheriff's office was transitioning from being a building across the street. It was going to be an 8-story high rise across the street with a connector bridge to looking for a raw land or a greenfield site. So my previous experience with Greene County, I was a project manager for DeWitt and Associates and worked on Greene County projects, the election center and archives expansion, also the public safety center and morgue. I was a project manager on those projects. Got to know Greene County. Chris Coulter was my contact at the time. He was in Kevin's role. Also worked on various projects, former jail, say formal or former. But anyway, as far as I had the previous experience with Greene County, working with Greene County, and I always liked working with the people at Greene County. As far as the role of the county commission, they're actually responsible for providing the buildings and space that you occupy as far as for the office holders and for departments. There's various state statutes that reference that. As far as county commission, alter and repair county buildings, provide and equip offices. Obviously, the courthouse and jail, we're doing those projects. We've done the jail project, now doing the courthouse project. County commission pay for a building site, which is what was done in the new jail and sheriff's office. Then they appoint a superintendent or a project manager, which that's a person who's actually oversees the design and construction of the buildings themselves. Then we will oversee an architect. The plan of the building will be sent to the commission for review. And then the superintendent supervises the work and reports progress on that. So superintendent project manager is kind of what that role is. And that's all covered by the state statutes as far as in the county reporting to the county commission. Who fills the role of superintendent project manager? Prior to my arrival, Kevin managed various projects. I know they had the second floor. There's 2 courtrooms that were built back in 2017, 2018. Also, fire suppression was ongoing at that time. Kevin spent a lot of time actually at night. He'd have a day job, and also at night he'd be overseeing the fire suppression work at night, so they can still have court the next day. Prior to Kevin was Chris. I worked with Chris Coulter when he was in that same role on those projects that I've referenced earlier. Franz also managed some of the smaller projects as far as direct, like a specialty contractor, the HVAC, electrical, plumbing, fire alarm, fire suppression, flooring. Usually it doesn't involve design consultants. Sometimes it does. But anytime we get a design team involved or a general contractor, that's kind of when I'm involved in the project. Kevin and Franz both manage a lot of people. So they've got a lot of things going on at the same time. So I kind of relieve them of the project management duties there. So, in what I do. So we actually we function kind of as a representative, an owner's rep, kind of repping the county commission and our stakeholders and users as far as making sure that you get as far as what you're looking for. When you think about it, we're all project managers. In each of your roles, as far as you usually have, you kind of have projects you're trying to complete successfully, and some projects take a solo effort, or some take a team effort. And many of you have experience as far as having someone come in and do repairs in your home. You may get solicit bids, and then you manage them, making sure that they provide what you're looking for or what you contracted with them. Project management, involvement, and responsibilities. First of all, as far as we have to establish, have a project, we have to get a project budget established, work with the budget department, get that approved by the county commission. Usually up front, it's not really known as far as some of those costs. You can do a conceptual budget estimate with the architect or with the contractor, but usually at the end, after we actually get bids in, we have to kind of formalize that budget. But we do need to have a budget to know what to work on initially. Besides the construction cost, we also have soft cost. Soft cost can include purchase of the property, like we did with the new jail, then survey of the new property, a geotech investigation of the soils, as far as soil borings to know the soil, to get the soil properties for the structural, to design the foundations. Environmental assessment is usually required on the new property. Make sure you don't have underground storage tanks or other issues that need to be abated. Legal fees as far as contract review, public advertisement of bids. And the biggest is architect and design subconsultants. Roughly that fee is about 7% of the construction costs. It goes towards the architect and the engineering design consultants. You may have a specialty consultant that's actually directly contracted with the county that does MEP commissioning or building envelope commissioning, materials testing, to other projects as far as make sure the soils, as far as compaction, concrete slump test, strength test, make sure that they're meeting the design requirements. Any special inspections like fireproofing. Information systems, our RIS team does a lot on themselves as far as the data cabling, access control, surveillance cameras. They're directly contracted with NetWatch for access control and security cameras. Sometimes they'll do the data cabling themselves, or sometimes we'll sub that out. At the jail, and actually the PFC, they have a distributed antenna system and DAS for radios and cellular system. Inside these big concrete structures, it's hard to actually get radio signal. So we had to actually put antenna systems throughout those inside the buildings themselves to get those signals for your phone coverage, and also your handheld radios for detention officers. Also in the jail and sheriff's office, we had food service and laundry equipment directly contracted with the county. Fixtures, furnishings, equipment. We had to purchase maintenance equipment, medical equipment, dental equipment. Furniture is a big component as far as FF&E. That's also directly contracted with the county. Also in the jail, we have public roadway improvements. We bid that out for widening the West Division and North Hazeltine. To add turn lanes, and also we raised the road bed on North Hazeltine. That was directly contracted with the county. We also bid out the sanitary sewer main extension. Didn't have sewer out there, so we had to bid that out, have a separate contract for that. Utility consumption as far as during the project on the raw land site. It's set up temporary electric. So all those costs are run directly through the county. Actually, the new jail and sheriff's office is a little unique. My cost and also the cost of the 4-person sheriff's advance team was actually paid for by the project. Usually that's not the case, but for that project it was. And then we have an owner contingency to cover for unexpected costs and change orders that come along. Hopefully that covers any costs and change orders. Any existing buildings, it's really difficult as far as sometimes I find out the unexpected things like this building here or next door. We're finding things as far as that aren't covered by the as-built drawings from that was done 25 years ago next door. So once the project's been approved by the county commission, we then have to go through purchasing to get an architect. Excuse me. That requires an RFQ process. Make sure I'm on the right slide here. Yes. We've got every 5 years an RFQ process is done, request for qualifications, and we actually have an architect pool. Like there's 3 approved architects right now: Inform Architecture, Paragon Architecture, and Butler Rosemary Partners. We've used Inform a lot. We've used Paragon a few times. Inform is real familiar with a lot of our buildings. They did the campus master plan. So depending on the project, I'll get with Kevin. We'll make a recommendation to the commission, and then they'll do a professional services appointment for the architect to proceed for us to proceed to get a contract with them. Sorry. I'm kind of to myself. One thing as far as architect and subconsultants, what they have as far as subconsultants will be a civil engineer as far as design of your infrastructure of the new building, addition, stormwater. So yeah, you have civil engineering, you have a structural engineer for your building itself as far as your foundations, your superstructure, mechanical, electrical, plumbing, MEP engineers. That's usually under one firm. They do all the design for your MEP systems. Sometimes they may have a professional estimating firm to help with cost along the way. At the new jail, had a specialty consultant for a jail architect consultant, a security electronics consultant, a kitchen laundry consultant, actually a smoke evacuation testing consultant. So sometimes you get into that for specialty consultants. And then some consultants directly contract with the county, like MEP commissioning or building envelope commissioning, or sometimes we go through the architect on that. That's kind of all part of the 7% of the construction cost. Once you have a project, you have to kind of figure out how you can do the project delivery on that. There's 5 different project delivery methods. Most common is design, bid, build. In that case, you have separate contracts with the architect and the general contractor. You get a set of drawings from the architect. You then work with purchasing to get a request for bid out publicly advertised and actually go through our plan rooms. We have a pre-bid meeting, and then 3 or 4 weeks later, we request public open bids for a fixed lump sum bid from a general contractor. So on bid day, you'll see them actually, general contractors will be out. They'll be working in their office. We'll have someone actually in the parking lot writing down final prices and submitting the bids right before our bid time. It's kind of risky as far as for the general contractor in that case. That usually results in the lowest price for the owner. Some risk with that, as far as they may use subcontractors are kind of questionable. We will review the subcontractor list to make sure that they are approved, that we don't have an issue with them from previous experience. Next, delivery method is design build. The former jail has done this method, and this is it's not very common. You do a request for a qualification process for a design build team. Usually it's led by the contractor and architect combined. They'll set a GMP, guaranteed maximum price. We have to have that approved by the commission. And then upon that, then they'll actually bid out publicly as far as the various trades. The problem with that, as far as we have kind of less control of design on that, we kind of deal with the contractor, and he can kind of dictate as far as how the architect may make decisions. And so it's not really that, not a preferred method as far as how we like to operate. So not very common. Like I said, it was done in the former jail, but it's usually bigger projects. Next method is construction management agent. This is actually what was used for the public safety and morgue. Once again, it's an RFQ process, and CM is selected through that process. And they'll have a set fee based on a percentage of construction cost and also hourly rates for the project management superintendent. One thing with CMA is not allowed to perform the work themselves, or they cannot bid on any trade packages. Some contractors have a concrete division, the general works may have a carpentry division or masonry. They cannot bid on any of that work, or they cannot do any kind of labor besides manage and have a superintendent on the project. Each trade package is bid publicly, and then the problem is that then each contract is with the county itself. So it's a little different as far as in doing that, and it's actually probably not preferred. It's a little more risk for the county in doing that. But that was all we had to work with at that time until 2016. The state statute passed the construction manager at risk model. And with that, it's still similar as far as an RFQ process, and you evaluate CMs and then you make a selection. Still fee based on construction cost, and they'll have hourly rates for their people. The CMAR can bid on trade packages if they have internal concrete crews, and it's all publicly bid though, as far as it's not like they have everyone else's bid and then they write in their number. It's all publicly bid, sealed envelope bidding process. So they are allowed though to bid on the individual trade packages. This is how the new jail and sheriff's office was done, which is really as far as a new jail is not built every day. So the team we had of J.E. Dunn DeWitt was very, as far as they've done other jails across the country, J.E. Dunn has, and so it was a very good model for that project. There is a premium with that as far as using them. I've heard some professional estimators say it may be a 10% premium as far as that versus a design bid build method, but like I say, complicated projects, it's really the way to go. And then our final project delivery method is job order contracting. Currently, we're doing that with the assessor's office. We did that the first round with the assessor's office too as well. It's a unit price based method. Gordian, as the administrator, the city of Springfield has a contract with them, and we're actually piggyback off that contract. It's using unit price based contracts times the quantity to come up with the bid, and it's really better for faster paced projects. And you can actually this last go around the assessor, we actually were able to value engineer. You can actually see the exact line item cost, and so you can actually help. We lower the price by using that method as far as having that price out there. Usually other methods as far as design bid build, you just have one price. You can do value engineering with them, but you may not get the same credit back as what the value of actually what the work is being done. The next, I'm sorry. So after we have the project delivery method, we're in design. We'll have design review meetings with the end users and the design team, building operations. IS will be there. They have different phases as far as the design. They'll have schematic design, and design drawings, and construction drawings. So with that, we kind of hope to get input back from the end users as far as to make sure that we are providing what you need in your space, what works best for you. So at that time, it's the ideal time to get feedback as far as in those design review meetings. Obviously, to make those changes at that time is a lot cheaper than actually when you get into construction and you say, oh, we got to do this. And so in doing that, then it results in usually extra cost as far as to do it later on. So then we have the drawings done. We work with purchasing for a request. This is more of the design bid build method, but we work with purchasing to come up with a request for bid, and advertise that out as far as that template and contract. We'll have a pre-bid meeting with the contractors, and then 3 or 4 weeks later, we'll accept the bids. Any work over $75,000 in the county or public works projects requires prevailing wage. So they'll bid it per that wage order. Actually, we're already changed from 31 to 32. And they'll have to provide certified payroll reports with their pay apps if they are successful getting the job. We'll then evaluate the bids, make sure they have everything covered, make sure there's no issues. Usually when you have a hard bid, sometimes you may get a big variance in numbers, and you have to make sure that they've got everything covered and they're not going to find out later on and try to change order you. Once we have a contract on board, they'll issue the subcontracts, and then the subcontractors will then end up going to suppliers, producing product data and shop drawing submittals for us to review. It's a review. Usually they'll submit those in, usually by email. And smaller projects, big projects, we use a web-based software. With that, well, it goes to the design team and also as well as Franz and myself, and we'll do a concurrent review, and any comments we'll relay on to the design team. And that starts off the procurement process. So administration of construction contracts, we have a pre-con meeting to kick things off. And then after that, every 2 weeks, we have an OAC, owner, architect, contractor meeting. And we'll just do updates as far as submittals, procurement, construction progress, check on the schedule, make sure there's no cost impacts ongoing at that time. In between the meetings, there's a lot of emails and phone calls that go on between architect, with the architect and with the contractor on that. We include contingency. We ask that the general contractor include a construction contingency, usually about 3 to 5%, or usually higher on an existing building, just because you just don't know what you're going to get into, and you want to get that money approved up front, so there's no surprises later on. So on the bigger project, we'll have an owner contingent for the soft cost, just to make sure we have everything covered on a the new general sheriff's office. Obviously, that's about 23 million in soft costs. Construction contract is 125 million. So, yeah. So any unused contingency is returned back to the county at the end of the job. So it's not like I get to keep that. Our primary objective is to make sure we manage the design team, general contractor, soft costs, make sure we stay within the budget, and also make sure the end users are getting the product, best finished product that they want. So it takes a lot of teamwork and collaboration as far as and doing a project. It's not just myself. I mean, there's the different offices, county commission, county administrator. I mean, the county commission approves the budget, approves design and construction contracts, approves the costs of the projects. The commission department's under county administrator or the budget. Like I said, they establish a project budget. They also secure any kind of financing, like the bonds. We had 2 or 3 bonds, I guess, as far as to finance it. That's from the 2017 sales tax, 0.5% sales tax. That's paid for a lot of the projects, the new jail and sheriff's office, current court project. So they help identify the funding for the project. Purchasing, like I said, these RFQs, RFPs. They also, once we do our direct purchases, they'll do the requisitions, get multiple bids, make sure as far as getting the best price for those things we purchase directly. Information systems, like I said, they have a big part in the project as far as they'll provide me their budget actually up front, and then like so that they have access control, security cameras, network switches. Actually, on the jail, they did the security electronics is all on their network, which is kind of unique. Our CMARs had never seen that before, and it's worked out well. So our IS team does great work. Under resource management, actually, this next one, resource management, actually building ops, building regs, environmental is all under resource management, Kevin's direction. Building ops, like say Franz is involved in every project because he has to, at the end of this, we have to maintain all these buildings. And so he wants to make sure as far as that, the HVAC equipment, plumbing, electrical, that's all that he's got to perform the maintenance, make sure it's efficient, and he has to maintain it afterwards. So building regs, Dave Odell's our chief building official. He reviews the plans, make sure they're compliant with code. Also, he does our inspections as far as under slab, MEP foundations, and wall overhead. And he or Jeff will usually do our inspections. We are our own jurisdiction, even though we're in the city of Springfield. They do not have jurisdiction only if we tie into the stormwater or sanitary. Environmental, we have stormwater engineers like Kelly and Hunter. Kevin is also does stormwater work, and so we'll have civil engineering, but we'll actually review their plans. My background is more structural, so I kind of let them handle their stuff. Environmental compliance. Tim Davis at the new jail sheriff's office. He was our environmental compliance manager. He looked over our stormwater pollution prevention plan, make sure we're in compliance with DNR. And then the highway department, excuse me, they helped me as far as widening the West State Highway EE, and they provide the inspection on that. They also help as far as in the parking lot of FJC. I'll show you that project. Elected office holders, Cindy Stein, obviously the auditor's office, they have all the contracts go through them, requisition and purchase orders, invoice approval process. That's all goes through the auditor's office, Treasurer Justin Hill's office. Disbursement of payment, very important as far as these vendors get paid within 30 days. It helps actually, when you pay them timely, they actually help them stay on your project. So I've had some owners, I worked in private industry, that take maybe 60 days. And so that makes it much more difficult to get subs to work on your project. And then the stakeholders, end users. I go we had a 4-person sheriff's advance team on that project. We don't really know as far as how they want to operate, how they operate a jail. So that was very helpful on that project. And actually any project as far as they have a lead person. We deal with the courts administrator, we deal with juvenile, as far as Bill and Julie to get their design feedback. We work with them as far as to make sure that the space is meeting their needs. Okay, I'll jump into projects here. So I started in 2019. This project was already underway. This is the second floor jury assembly. I just added another jury assembly room up there. And actually, when we first started out in 2019, this project, like Kevin had said, that we were court ordered to add a security fence around where the judges park. There was a fence there before. It was just not very secure. I mean, you could actually lift gate is all they had there. So we put up an 8-foot high secure fence there with a sliding gate. I kind of did the design myself and actually had an electrical engineer helping with the gate operators there. Operations Center, at the time I started, they had a building pad there, and then we had 9 or 10 months. We finished out the completion of that project. That's obviously houses building operations, general services on the first floor. Haven't been there. That's we've got a woodworking shop, metal shop, paint booth. It works out well, and that building does. Family Justice Center, the prosecutor actually purchased this building from Springfield Public Schools for $10 and wanted to convert this to the Family Justice Center. So we did that renovation back in 2020. Later on, I'll show you pictures of the new windows. That's what the windows look like when I first purchased that. And we renovated to their use there. There was some abatement for lead paint in that, but we've done all that. Judicial Court, second floor courtroom in the north. This here is showing as far as putting the precast panels into the building. This is has a holding cell in there. It's a spider crane. You have to kind of crib out the loading. You're on the second floor there, so you have to make sure, work with the structural engineer on that to make sure that we aren't overloading that floor. That's a nice courtroom. There's got jury box, and it's one of the largest courtrooms they have over there. So we also had this is the second temporary jail. The first one, T6, was over here in the office holder parking lot. T7 is actually between the morgue and PSC. This is just all the underground. We're preparing for that. This is the trailer jail. We had eight trailers, I believe, had a capacity of 390. We had a lot of overcrowding back then as far as that we were actually took care of the overcrowding to keep from having to ship inmates off actually out of county. So it worked well for that time, but we're all glad it's gone now. So the morgue decomp suite, when the morgue was built in 2014, we just shell spaced the decomp suite, didn't have the money at the time, and so they got grant funding, and then we ended up putting the decomp, prepping the room out and putting a decomp autopsy station in there, and that's the cooler there. We did third floor finish upgrades, 21, 22. The pictures on the left shows as far as the older finishes. We put in different, more modern, I guess, colors as far as acoustical wall panels and paint. The carpet was replaced and the ceiling tiles. That was done in 6 of the 9 courtrooms on the third floor. Of course, the sheriff's office and jail has started in April 2020 during COVID. So that was a challenge in itself. And of course, the sheriff's office here on the right, this overall view. Let's see, if you haven't been in the building, this is the entry lobby, and the media conference room, the roll call room, cafe, or the interior there as far as the booking, the pictures with all that, the HVAC, the chases in between there's 12 different pods. That's the chases that feed those, and all the mechanical, electrical, plumbing. Lower right is a BIM model. We had weekly meetings on building information modeling to make sure there's no interferences with steel, MEP systems, and so that worked out well on that. We're doing the same thing on the new port entrance building. This is evidence and storage building. This was added halfway through. We had enough savings working with the advanced team, and we had enough as far as with the construction manager to actually add this additional building halfway through. It's the evidence storage and training building, also known as Law Enforcement Academy. Big training rooms, evidence storage. End of 2022, juvenile detention. They lowered the age of 20 to 17 and had issues with doors getting kicked in. So they had evacuated a pod, we had the classification pod. So we renovated that for their use. They are now moving back to they will be in July, back to 1111 North Robertson. We're in the process of modifying that right now. Back to the Family Justice Center, we put in new windows, and then we expanded the parking lot. We had to always help in doing that as far as using their contracts on that. Parking lot across the street. Of course, that's where we had the temp jail, and then also a lot of old buildings were tore out. The old building office buildings tore out. Like I said early on, this is going to be actually at one time the site of an 8-story high jail with a connector bridge. That was was not very efficient, and so it saved on personnel, enough personnel to get more capital costs to build the new jail. Got new lights out of there. Public safety infill. This is done last year. IS had a presence in the PSC, and we actually added we infilled the shell space, and then we took some of the OEM space and we traded some spaces out and made an office space. So now they're all consolidated at the PSC. This is actually designed by Kevin and built by Franz's team, Joe and Dan. It's kind of set the precedence as far as more people want to do, more office holders wants to do this. As far as the service counters up here, this is our building regs department. We're going to do something similar in the assessor's office and possibly the collector and recorder, maybe without the dividers. Archives, dry fire suppression. This is partly paid by Cheryl's funds and also ARPA, American Relief Plan Act funding. There's no fire suppression system in there. You have old paper files in there, so for them to get wet wouldn't be ideal. So we put in a dry fire suppression system that would required fully enclosing the building, make sure it's sealed tight. Over here at the old admin building being used as the Youth Academy, we of course had stairs that dilapidated the back and the front. The front was spalling and concrete, as well as the back. We put galvanized steel stairs in the back, and then we poured new concrete in the front. Of course, this building here, we all lived through that. Those who lived in this, been in this building through the as far as window replacement project, much improvement there. We don't have air blowing behind us now that blows the shades when we're in meetings, and so besides the roller shades, we also got stone seals, Phoenix marble stone seals. The doors, we're still trying to work out the astragals on the doors, but we're almost there on that. So we'll be completed soon with that. treatment court just finished. That's in the judicial courts, but that's former sheriff's office. Once again, the spider crane's back. We had like 3 holding cells on that one. And then that's a courtroom. It doesn't have a jury box, but there's also another large courtroom. Treatment court takes up a lot of space. Franz mentioned last week, the restroom project, we had a contractor finish that project. We waited to have them start on that until we had all the materials on that project. So that was actually kind of a condensed construction period of time. So we're all happy that it's open now, especially the guys. Accessory renovation is ongoing right now. This is a rendering. This is they're swapping room 37 to 39. 37 will be office space. 39 will now be public. 39 is on the west side. This is 37 offices. 39, as you can see, there's going to have service counters, kind of L-shaped there. The first project we did a couple years ago, the assessor's office, we opened up. Brett and Kristen, they were involved as far as opening up those arches there. We had to do some steel reinforcement on that, and also pour back some concrete pilasters. But it's a nice space there. Working on that. Hopefully, probably be October timeframe, and there's a long lead time on millwork. This is not a county project, but it's an ARPA project, something else I'm involved in. There's a lot of people as far as involved with ARPA. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm going long. Like the Silver Springs Park renovation, hopefully will be done by June 20th. And anyway, that's a project on the side. The juvenile detention, this is the project we're trying to get done in July, putting in detention frames and doors right now. And then the family courts, juvenile building, new courts, this is under construction right now. This is the new court entrance building. That's the exterior. This is what the interior looks like, rendering wise. This is inside the old jail. The upper left-hand corner is the old kitchen. Upper right is the old booking area. They actually poured concrete like 4 a.m. Friday morning, and one in upper left. Of course, they're working on the foundations right now on the new building. That project, timing-wise, the new building and building to this old former jail, which will house juvenile administration on the first floor, juvenile youth academy, the judges, the 4 family court judges, and juvenile court judge. Second floor will have 4 family courtrooms and the B&C pods. There's kind of delay as far as working on the second floor right now because juvenile detention is up there in the A pod, so we're trying to get them out so we can fully do a demo up there because it's going to require a trash chute on the west side of the building. So that's probably looking at late summer, early fall of 2026 as far as opening those buildings. Once those are done, we'll move out the family courts, which is in the northwest corner of the judicial building. They'll move into their space, and then we'll work on doing an infill space for the public administrator office there. At the same time, that's done. Youth Academy will be moving out over here out of this building. We'll renovate that for HR and budget. That'll be the end of next year, 2026, when we're working on that. And then purchasing will move to HR's old spot. This renderings of the commission office, which is the old IS space. We've been using the old IS space on the second floor for the various office holders to stage in there while we do HVAC and other renovations in their offices. So I won't start that till next year because we still have a few more moves to go in there as far as like collector and maybe a recorder to use that space. But so next year we'll be doing that construction. You will lose the women's restroom at the end of the hallway here. When that's done, that'll be the new main entrance to the commission office. And that's that side there. That's the west wall side of the offices there. So sorry I went long and fast, but any questions? I'm sorry.